Hi, everyone. My name is Griffin Higgins. I'm a part-time PhD student just wrapping up the coursework in my first year. And for this talk, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about something called the simulation war. When I was 14, I used to talk with this thing called Cleverbot, which is a lot like a really dumb version of ChatGPT. For this talk, I thought it'd be fun to ask it, how can I structure a 4-minute thesis? To which it replied, you can't, but you can always try. So let's see how I do here today. But even when I was 14, I knew I was talking with a machine because it told me it was, and there were identifiers everywhere. But if we strip away these identifiers, we might not ask it to say that it's directly a machine. It might not be so clear who or what we are talking with. In 1950, Alan Turing, the father of modern computing, asked this very thing in the form of a game played between a human interrogator, a machine, and a fellow human. In the game, questions are sent from the interrogator to both parties whose identities remain secret. The parties then answer these questions and try and convince the interrogator that they are the real human. If the interrogator is able to discern the identity of the machine correctly, we would say that the machine has failed the Turing test. On the opposite hand side, if we are unable to correctly get the identity of the machine, then we would say that it has passed the Turing test because it's fooled us into believing it is a human. Today, we face a different game, and it is no longer necessarily about interrogation, but rather about investigation, where we might not have messages from participants trying to get us to believe they're human, but just messages nonetheless that we need to figure out who and where, when, what made them or generated them. But I just told you that we have machines that can pass the Turing test. So how could we ever hope to do that as humans? Well, it turns out that we actually are unable to, but we can employ the use of machines to help us detect other machines and differentiate them between humans. We can fight fire with fire. And as part of our coursework, we look at a lot of these tasks and state of the art. But I'm not so much worried about this as I am about the adversarial setting, where an adversary with special knowledge of how these detectors work might try and influence a machine in order to strongly evade this kind of detection and slip text into the hands and minds of unsuspecting humans. We also review several existing attacks on these detectors, and we see that there are no detectors that are robust enough to defend against all attacks. We also showcase this on my YouTube channel, so feel free to check it out. Additionally, we might say, is all hope lost? No. If the adversary tries to simulate us, we can also simulate them right back. We can still fight fire with fire. And here we can see that we might do this and take the messages from both humans and evasive machines along with regular machines and train our machine detectors to be strong and resistive to this kind of evasion. We might ask what kind of work is being done in this area. We did some project work where we actually did this in a very simple setting, and it's formally known as adversarial training. And this comes up in the real world. We can see this even in the ChatGPT store, where several of the leading custom GPTs are AI humanizers that have impacted over 14 million conversations. I want to leave off with a quote from Alan, and it basically talks about this idea that we shouldn't try to dress up AI as something that it's not, because it will come around to bite us. And importantly, what once was a mere game of imitation has now escalated into a full-blown war of simulation. Thank you so much, and please reach out if you have any questions on this topic.